Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Perth County Council this 21st day of November. I'd like to call our meeting to order. If everyone could please bow their head for a moment of reflection. Thank you. Read our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Perth County is situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe, who have a long-standing relationship with the land and water throughout the region. We honor and respect history, languages, and culture of the diverse Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit people who call this territory home. As a county, we have a responsibility for reconciliation and the continued stewardship of the land on which we live and work. Okay, if you have pecuniary interest, you can disclose that now or as the meeting goes along. Confirmation of our agenda, we do have an addition, and I'll let Tyler tell you about that.
Thank you. So through the warden, we have one addition to item 14.1 closed session. It is a matter pertaining to negotiation. We have verbal update and it's through CAO division.
Okay, thank you. And we have a motion that the November 21st, 2024 agenda be amended. Moved by Councillor Trunkowski, second by Councillor Wilhelm. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have 19 consent agenda items. Is there any items anyone would like pulled? They have questions on? Wow, that's a first. Nobody. Okay. So council receives the consent agenda items 6.1 to 6.19 and approves the November 7, 2024 council minutes. Moved by Councillor Smith, second by Councillor McDermott. All in favor? Okay, next on our agenda, we have a public meeting, right? Delegation, sorry. Delegation. We have Caroline Baker with us this morning in regards to a draft plan of subdivision approval for Trident Group. So Caroline, you want to come to the table, please? Good. Yep. Morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Warden, members of County Council. Caroline Baker from Baker Planning Group. I'm here this morning on behalf of the Braze and Trident Group with respect to a draft plan of subdivision. Certainly, there's also a corresponding zone change that has been heard at North Perth Council. If you don't mind going to the next slide. This property may seem familiar. Earlier in the year, we were before County Council with respect to an official plan amendment for a boundary expansion to the Listowel ward. The subject property is approximately 32 hectares in size and is located on the western extent of the community of Listowel, abutting more recent residential development that has generally been constructed. Next slide, please. As noted, it is a subdivision before you this morning, and certainly I understand Mr. Garland, the county planner, has a presentation with recommendations and associated conditions. I would note that the applicant and owner are in support of the conditions as proposed by county staff. Because of the orientation of the site being a long rectangle, I have flipped the draft plan of subdivision and rotated. For reference, to the north is on the right side of the page. This just allows for a larger image, not to confuse the shape of the property. What you'll see is there is a mix of land uses, including commercial and residential, that comprises singles, street towns, and multi-unit residential blocks. There's also a series of connected new municipal roads that would connect from Twomley and Kincaid heading west, as well as connecting to line 86 to the north. There are also two large natural environment areas that were studied through an environmental impact study and deemed appropriate for preservation. And those are shown on the top of the page, which would be west, and on the bottom, which is south, and those are shown in green. There certainly also is a stormwater management pond to service the site. The overall development site represents about 65% of the site. So the remaining portions were utilized for natural heritage protection. Next slide, please. This is the land use table with respect to the proposed subdivision and how the land area is divided up. There are 107 single detached dwellings, 163 street townhouses, and 254 multi-unit in the form of apartment buildings, townhouses, stacked townhouses, all within what would be either a rental or a future condominium. Next slide, please. We did include in our submission conceptual site plans for the multi-unit residential blocks to not only inform the planning assessment, but also land use compatibility and the requested zoning. Certainly through the public process of these applications, we have attended North Perth Council. I would note that there were residents on Winchester Crescent, which is abutting the property to the east, and the image on the left side of the page. So they would be the lots at the very bottom. You'll see they're single detached lots. They did come to those public meetings with questions regarding the proposed 3-story apartment building located next to their properties. Through ongoing discussion with staff as well as the residents, we did all collaboratively work together, looking at additional provisions to increase yard setbacks, ensure enhanced screening and fencing, ensuring that balconies are directed away from their homes, so they would only be located on the opposite side of the apartment building. And you'll see a bit of an unusual condition in the plan of subdivision that Trident Group would work with the neighboring property owners to in fact take their stormwater management. So they have restrictions on their rear lot because they have a swale for stormwater, and Trident has agreed to accept their flows so that they can remove the swale, and that allows them to retain an additional 4 meters on their rear property lines that they could do things like planting or a shed. So certainly through the analysis in our report, we concur with county planning staff that the proposed low density apartment building is compatible within this residential development. The image on the right is a proposed stacked townhouse development that would align line 86. Next slide, please. This is the larger multi-unit block located on the south side of the site. It would be adjacent to the stormwater management pond and natural area, as well as an existing park in the existing subdivision to the immediate east. At this time, Trident is looking at a what I'll call stacked back-to-back. So we're combining 2 forms of townhouses. So they're stacked on top, and then they're actually pushed back to back. And for that reason, there's certainly more amenity areas, but this allows for an efficient development that also brings greater affordability to the units. Next slide. There was a servicing report prepared by Grid Engineering that demonstrated sufficient sanitary and water capacity, and have been working with North Perth to ensure appropriate servicing and associated design. Traffic study was completed that demonstrated all intersections, both currently forecasted and with this development, will operate appropriately. There is a requirement for 1 turn lane into the site, and that would be from line 86 into the new residential subdivision. There's also, and you'll see in an upcoming slide, consideration for a connected pedestrian network within the site and connecting to the community at large. Next slide. So this, and the color might be a bit off with the shading of the screen, so my apologies. You'll see there is a red line dotted around the subdivision, as well as yellow arrows. So the yellow arrows are pointing to sidewalks that would connect to existing sidewalks. The applicant is proposing to build a new sidewalk trail along line 86 to connect the community, as well as a looped walkway trail around the subdivision adjacent to the natural features that will be available for all residents in the community, but again provides that connection to those natural areas as well as the proposed parks within the subdivision. Next slide. Environmental impact study was completed, has been accepted by the county in terms of the appropriate areas for long-term protection, as well as the associated buffers to address the provincial planning statement. Next slide. Working with the applicant, they have retained a housing consultant expert that assists in obtaining funding for affordable housing. They are working with them to provide housing that meets the county land needs assessment and the work that you've done related to housing affordability. They are looking to provide between around 20 to 25 or 26 affordable units within the multi-unit blocks, as well as intentionally designing certain single detached building lots with their size and associated zoning provisions to facilitate an ADU. They're also working with city or municipal staff, my apologies, in North Perth on a CIP application related to housing affordability. Next slide, please. And this is the last slide, just to conclude that in my opinion, the application is appropriate, consistent with provincial policy, and conforms to both the county OP and the Listowel Ward OP for the appropriate extension and mix of use of the urban settlement area. That would conclude my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Caroline. Any questions? No? Okay, then we have a motion that council receives a delegation on item 8.1.1, application for draft plan of subdivision approval submitted by Trident Group Limited, NP 24-01 by Caroline Baker. Moved by Councillor Kassenberg, second by Deputy Warden Callum. All those in favor? Thanks, Caroline. Okay, now we're going to move to staff reports, and our first one is under the planning department, and it's the application for the draft plan of subdivision by Trident Group, and we have Nathan with us this morning. Welcome, Nathan. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Megan, and members of council. I'm here to provide the presentation on the Trident Group application on behalf of Caroline Baker and Baker's Planning. Well, the owners are Connie and Emmanuel Craig, and the subject property is located on that star just at the northeast end of the county, so it's directly along Perth Line 86, just to the west of Listowel. Just an overview of the subjects lands in the subdivision. So those are all the subdivision blocks listed and their unit types. I won't go over all of this because I think Ms. Baker's gotten a lot of this already to address this. We're looking at approximately 34.2 units per hectare and potentially up to 524 units for the subject lands and property. This is a question that came up, so we're just going to give council just an idea or overview of where we're at right now. So this is coming back to county council for consideration of the plan of subdivision. So this will be the last time that county council would see this as a consideration. It will go back to North Perth Council for the final adoption of the zoning bylaw. But subject to any changes, if there was a red line or something like that, that would come back. But as of right now, this would be county council's consideration for the subdivision application and the overall layout of the site. There is additional things that the applicant will be required to address, such as the subdivision agreement, clearing conditions, and then future site plan agreements for the multi-residential blocks, anything over 10 units or more, and the commercial block. Just an overview of the proposed zoning amendment. This is more for North Perth. However, I just give you council the different zones being considered. There are a number of different zoning amendments requested just to meet the different unit types that are now proposed, so a little more current and consistent with the reduced setbacks and rear yard allowances, as well as front yard allowances, just to meet the, I'll say, more current unit types being considered and proposed at the committee site. Supporting information, so there's a list of studies. There was a number of different supporting information that was provided as part of the justification for this application. So planning justification report, environmental impact study, archaeological assessment, functional servicing and stormwater report, geotechnical report, hydrogeological report, and traffic study. So those were reviewed and supported the applications and the finding. Some of the changes to the plan of subdivision, some of those as the turning lane, as well as some road widening, some access were addressed as part of that as well too. Staff are requesting 26 conditions be added to the report. These would go to North Perth Council as well too, and they were satisfied that. There will be a requirement for a subdivision agreement, MVCA, Canada Post, and Embry and utilities have provided comments. There is also the note for the parkland dedication, so there will be 2 parks going to North Perth Council, one or North Perth. One is for mostly a trail walk along the woodlot edge, and then one for a bit of a trail, or I'll say more consistent park walk directly adjacent to the natural environment floodplain area of the Maitland River through there, as well as the 2 park walks, which is the woodlot walk, as well as the Maitland River walk also being transferred. Staff have been discussing fencing requirement and log demarcation. We have been working with the agricultural working group to provide some signage along the agricultural areas just to identify that those are private properties. So we are working with the agricultural group just to install some signage and come up with a design for that. So that would tend to be incorporated also. And then as mentioned, there are available services for the site to properly service. Just a couple pictures of the subject lands. So one's looking from Perth Line 86, looking south towards the property. One's looking from the end of Kincaid Street, just looking north. And then that's actually along that existing, that proposed easement, or that existing easement on the rear yards of those folks' lands. So that's kind of running from Kincaid to the northeast. And then just a couple more pictures. One is looking south towards the Maitland River floodplain. So that's that treat area on the north, or the top picture. And then one looking towards the woodlot block at the end of Kincaid as well too. So planning comments and support comments received. We did receive comments from B.R. Ross as far as final stormwater management and subdivision agreement, and for easements. MVCA, we have included a condition for that, which is a permit requirement within the Conservation Authority regulated lands, final EIS and sediment erosion control. Blue water recycling, just asking for a detailed design and inclusion within the subdivision agreement for garbage collection. And then Perth County is requesting a road widening along Perth Line 86 as well too. As far as the comments and concerns we expressed, we have been working with the applicants and talking with the adjacent neighbors quite a bit around the works, and Caroline has mentioned. There was concerns around loss of enjoyment, privacy, and then posting. So we have gone through that with them. The condition has been added to work with the adjacent landowners to address the easement. The nice part is that that's a multi-unit block, which does allow for some stormwater accommodations. So hopefully that works through detailed design. It's been very conceptual at this stage, and it does require those landowners to agree that it works well. That's that multi-unit block that we've discussed and Caroline has mentioned. It's block 124. There is an existing easement along 5 of those properties. So just for North Perth councilors' consideration, we have adjusted the number from 7 property owners down to 5. So we have talked with grid engineer, we have talked with Miss Baker, and it has been mentioned that there's only 5 landowners that are required to tie into the subdivision block. 2 of them actually have outlet already, so we have reduced the number down from 7 to 5. So it still meets the intent of the condition brought forward by North Perth Council, but we just reduced the numbers and clarified that a little further. So that's the condition as a whole. I won't go through that. Apologies for the wordy presentation and slides. So that's just for a note that the previous motion passed at North Perth Council was for 7 property owners. So this is now reduced down to 5 just because that's the only one that's not required. 2 of them actually have legal outlet already. So they've already been addressed. No works would be required on their property or very minimal. One of the discussion items brought up was around the Street J. It does back onto the existing units already along Winchester Street. So we have asked the applicant to provide a little additional buffering. So that's going to be that multi-use trail that runs through there, as well as they provided additional buffering for potentially landscaping, some blocking if required, anything else to give them a little more space. Also talking with the engineering consultant, there is the potential to shift Street J a little bit closer to block 137, just to give those folks a little more room and incorporate some buffering, tree planting, anything else that might go there, just to give a little more space. Additionally, those blocks will not have rear yard access onto Street J, so there won't be a secondary access, say, bumping in off the back to give those folks access. So it still is maintaining their access off of Winchester. One of the concerns brought up was just around proper signage. It's an odd property, but those there's 2 blocks, Kincaid and Twomley. Those are actually still listed as blocks. They're not actually part of the open road allowance, so though there was no requirement to post a sign. However, signage was posted at Perth Line 86 as a requirement as part of the Planning Act, so that was done properly. As well as the additional mail, it did go out to all the adjacent landowners as required through the Planning Act also. Affordable and attainable housing, I won't go over this because Ms. Baker has already addressed this, but really there is a number of different opportunities as well as the North Perth CIP for potential uptake for affordable housing and through the management of that. Policy summary, it does meet the Perth County list of official plans. There were plenty of amendments to include that as part of the area. There is a requirement to return to North Perth Council for final consideration of the rezoning application. And then North Perth Council approved in principle the subdivision as well as the zoning at the November 18th, 2024 council meeting. Therefore, it is my recommendation that Perth County Council approve the plan of subdivision NP 24-2.R01, subject to the conditions listed in the report with the condition for the additional condition from North Perth Council. I'm happy to address or answer any questions at this time.
Okay, thanks, Nathan. Any questions of the report? No? Okay, we have a motion that council receives the application for the draft plan of subdivision approval submitted by Trident Group Limited, NP-24-01 report, and that council approves the application for draft plan of subdivision approval submitted by Trident Group Limited, NP 24-01, excuse me, report for lands described as lots 27 and 28, concession 1, Elma Ward in the municipality of North Perth, subject to the recommended conditions in the report. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Duncan, second by Councillor Wilhelm. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Nathan. Okay, we're going to move to corporate services, and our first item under corporate services is the Perth County Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee appointment, and Tyler's going to do that. So Tyler, the floor is yours.
Perfect. So through the warden for council is the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee appointment report. In the month of October, Dennis Maneri put in his resignation for the Accessibility Advisory Committee. At such time, we proceeded with Perth South, working with Lizette Scott, the clerk there, for a posting for the position and the recruitment. At the November 5th meeting in Perth South, they recommended Ray Iredale to fill the position, and the recommendation then comes to County Council, where it is before Council today. One thing I do want to mention is a thank you to Dennis Maneri for his time and service with the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee. Dennis has spent 14 plus years with the committee in various positions, as well as the chair. And I think a couple of councillors and the warden have worked with Dennis on that committee. So I do want to thank Dennis for his time and commitment to the committee. But before council is the appointment for Ray Iredale. And there'll be a corresponding bylaw later on in today's agenda if council should approve the recommendation.
Okay, any questions of the report? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that council receives the Perth County Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee appointment report, and that council appoints Ray Iredale to the Perth County Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee. Moved by Councillor Orr, second by Councillor Wilhelm. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks, Tyler. Now we're going to move to corporate services update, and we have Annette. Good morning and welcome, and the floor is yours.
Good morning. The report before you provides an update on activities that occurred in corporate services for the months of September and October. And before I highlight those activities, I just want to put a shout out to our GIS team. For GIS Day, they launched a new light interactive map so you can view basic geographic features at much faster speeds. So I encourage everybody to check that new map out. A few highlights from the report. A good news story, Stratford Perth Archives, their digital newspaper database, has had well over 38,000 views from people as far away as New Zealand and Norway. So we commend them for that hard work, and I'm sure that those numbers have increased since the time in which my report was submitted. Perth County website is fully compliant with AODA requirements, so a completion report was submitted to the province in September, and any future content will be continued to be reviewed to ensure that we continue to comply. GIS staff collaborated with West Perth Fire Department to develop and publish an online digital community risk assessment, which is also available to the public for viewing. And speaking of the public, there has been a lot of public outreach occurring by archives recently. You'll note that there's numerous speaking engagements, numerous newspaper articles. An archives brochure was provided to the Stratford Public Library. They worked together with the City of Stratford on a Welcome to Stratford initiative. And those brochures will include an information packet about community organizations to all new residents. Finally, for finance, the 2023 audit is still in process, but you can anticipate a draft being presented to council on December 5th. And I want to make note of a recent process improvement, a shout out to our IT staff that upgraded a component of our remote access platform, which improves stability and performance and reduces complexity for staff, which is a great thing, but it also strengthens our cybersecurity platform. And then finally, I want to make a brief comment on the success of Municipal Day yesterday. The caliber of speakers was excellent, and the turnout was fantastic. So subject to any questions, that is my report.
Okay, thanks, Nat. Any questions of the report? If not, we have a motion that council receives the corporate services September/October 2024 update report for information. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Smith. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks, Annette. We're going to move to our third quarter variance and year-end projections, and we have Daniel with us this morning and Corey.
Yep.
Welcome, gentlemen, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Warden Agates, and good morning, council. The report in front of you tonight is the third quarter variance and year-end projections. As outlined in the report, the overall surplus for the county in 2024 is projected to be approximately $147,441. This nominal surplus shows the prudent budgeting by county departments and staff, as projections are within 0.26% of the county's total budgeted expenses for 2024. A few other items to highlight. 87% of the capital budgeted expenses for the year are expected to be expensed by the end of the 2024 year. Some costs related to the courthouse capital project are anticipated to be paid in Q1 of 2025, as well as deposits related to 2 ambulances which were paid in 2024 are expected to be delivered and the remaining balance paid for in the beginning of 2025. The paramedic defibrillator program will be implemented in 2025. The county is anticipating to be approximately $300,000 under budget related to scheduled road and bridge projects in 2024. POA fine revenue is forecasted to be 47% higher than budgeted revenue. These funds will be retained in the POA contingency reserve, the POA technology upgrades reserve, and distributed to our municipal partners. Public Works Road Division is projected to have a surplus of $113,000. Which staff is recommending to be allocated to the winter maintenance reserve. The significant things to note related to this division is the $500,000 surplus in winter maintenance and a $260,000 deficit related to drainage work. Paramedic services is projecting a deficit of approximately $253,000 due to the rising costs of WSIB. These costs will be offset with the utilization of the paramedic services WSIB reserve. Are there any questions related to this report? Happy to answer them.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. Any questions of the report? Councillor Duncan?
Yeah, through you, Warden. Are the rising WSIB costs, are those because of WSIB claims, or those are just rising cost of WSIB insurance?
Through the warden to Councillor Duncan, the costs are claims as well as based on actuarial future costs from an actuarial study that was performed by a outside consultant that determines what our annual cost of WSIB is looking to be forecasted in paramedic services.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? If not, we have a motion that council receives the third quarter variance and year-end projections report for information. Moved by Councillor Kassenberg, second by Councillor McDermott. All those in favor? Carried. Sorry here. Okay. Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you. We're going to Public Works now. We have the rental and a connecting link update, and we have John with us this morning. And Bill. Welcome, gentlemen, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Warden Agates, and good morning, Council. This is an update report on the renovation and connecting link project, which is nearing completion. We are currently projecting occupancy mid to late December and planning staff move-ins as a phased-in process, which will continue into the new year. There are some key items critical to occupying the building, and those include TSSA certification of the elevator, a functioning HVAC system, access security fire alarm systems operational, and the new generator hooked up. Some of these items require integration and coordination with existing systems already in the courthouse. The first of those will be the generator hookup, which is planned for this Saturday, so that impact to operations and systems are minimized. That being said, I am pleased to report that the project completion is in sight. The report provides some pictures that shows the progress to date. And when preparing the report, furniture was just being delivered. And by end of day today, that will all be installed and completed. So the building now looks like an office. If there's any questions with the project, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of the report? No, great news, John. I know you've done an awful lot of work for this, and you and Bill, so good news story, and we're looking forward to moving in.
Thank you, Warden Eggetson. I must say, this includes a lot more than just me. There's a lot of staff involved in this, and I really appreciate their time and efforts.
Okay, if we have no questions, then we have a motion that council receives a rental and connecting link update report. Moved by Councillor Wilhelm, second by Councillor McKenzie, all in favor? Carried. Okay, and then we have a road division update. Bill?
Thank you, Warden Eggetson. Through the Warden, good morning, Council. This information report from Public Works provides Council with an update that highlights the progress of 2024 capital road and bridge projects. These projects aim to enhance the road system through renewal, replacement, and rehabilitation of road and bridge assets. Over the 2024 construction season, the department executed contracts which saw the rehabilitation of approximately 35 kilometers of road, covering portions of Perth Line 86, Perth Line 20, Perth Line 44, and Perth Road 101. Bridge and culvert projects included the rehabilitation of 3 structures, extending the service life of the Wiki Bridge on Perth Road 135, Bornholm Bridge on Perth Line 44, and the Fish Creek Bridge on Perth Line 20. The 2024 capital program also included the replacement of 1 concrete box culvert on Perth Line 36 with the City of Stratford, and intersection improvements on Perth Road 101 at Bucky Doodle's Corner with the Region of Waterloo, Oxford County, and Township of Wilmot. All 2024 capital projects have been completed, and the report provides a brief summary of each. In addition to the capital works and routine maintenance, the department completed additional operational projects, which included the permanent installation of radar speed radar feedback signs in 22 villages across the county road network, and the conversion of Perth Road 130 and Perth Line 20 to an all-way stop control. Delineation lighting was placed at Perth Road 131 and Line 72 intersection, and there still are a few outstanding operational items to be completed before the end of the year, notably Perth Line 33 and Perth Road 107, converting that intersection to an all-way stop, and placing some dusk to dawn lights at Perth Line 20, Perth Road 130 intersection, and as well as 107 and 33. That summarizes our report, and if there are any questions, we would be happy to address them.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Questions? Councillor Ward?
I really do appreciate what happened in Punky Doodle's Corner. I've driven it a few times. It's awesome. Can you just go over though, like from Tavistock to Punky Doodle's, the road is considerably wider with extra lines. Do you want to run through why that happened or how that happened? I love it, but
Yeah.
it's an extra.
Sure. Through the Warden to Councillor Orr, that section of road, Perth Road 101, Oxford 24, that runs from Tavistock to Punky Doodle's Corner. That is a boundary road between us and Oxford County. Through that tender, we included a provisional item for paved shoulders, 1.5 meter wide paved shoulders through the whole tangent of that road, and also included lane departure rubble strips along that as well. With the paved shoulders, significantly reduced maintenance costs on maintaining the gravel shoulder. So that was one major component of that. Another one that led into that is Oxford County's cycling master plan. The infrastructure that's there now by way of the paved shoulder would be wide enough to facilitate future cycling lanes on that road. They're not present now, but in the future, if the decision is to sign those as such, the infrastructure is in place now to do so.
great. And the rumble strips, they're fantastic. Love to see that, if we could afford to do that on all our roads, but
Okay, other questions? Counselor Jankowski?
Thanks, Warden, through you. Question for John and Bill. What's your general sense of like the performance level of the contractors, like on all the roads and bridge projects? I'm guessing that they're meeting expectations, but I'm just wondering how they're performing in terms of the quality of the work and the timeliness and their safety habits and that sort of thing. Do we sort of do a contractor performance rating at the end of these projects, or how do we track those things?
Thank you, through the warden. We do monitor their progress throughout the project. And we do have a number of meetings with them pre-construction and during. I can say for the majority of our projects this year, we are very pleased with the construction, the quality of construction, and the attention to detail on that. Sometimes this year we've tried a few new things, notably up on 86 with the addition of aramid fibers into the hot mix asphalt. And that's just to prevent future cracking and better stability of the roadway into the future. Sometimes when you try some of these new items, you may find some operational issues within the paving operations per se. Any deficiencies or things of that nature are minor in nature, but we're pretty picky. We like to ensure that we have good construction, and I can say for 2024 we are very pleased with both the progress. They met completion dates, and work was performed to a high standard.
Good, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion that council receives the road division update report. Moved by Councillor Jankowski, second by Councillor Wilhelm. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay, now we're going to move to budget, and we have the capital budget presentation for IT, bridges, roads, facilities, fleet, and equipment, and we have Corey going to do that. Corey, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Warden Eggerts and fellow councillors. I'm here to provide a brief overview of the capital program anticipated for the 2025 year. As previously mentioned, the 2025 capital budget is comprised of 39 projects totaling $11 million approximately. The $11 million is funded by $9 million from reserves and $2 million from other levels of government, federal and provincial. The capital budget does also comprise of the capital levy, which is set at just over $4 million for a total increase of $280,000 or 1.26% increase of the total 13.18 levy increase as presented in the previous council meeting. Before I briefly speak on the projects forecasted for 2025, I would like to report to council and the public of some of the financial analytics of Perth County with some of the current work being performed by county staff to ensure the long-term financial sustainability. As we close out 2024, the county staff are preparing to increase the long-term debt of the county with the inclusion of the courthouse campus renovation to the existing long-term debt of the county. In the beginning of 2025, the county will be adding $5.4 million. This increase to the annual principal and interest charges will increase to approximately $1.2 million annually, and will increase the county's annual replacement limit, or ARL, to 5.14% from the 3.59% in the previous year. Ontario municipalities are allowed to generate a long-term debt payments up to 25% of their own source revenues. With that being said, the county will be continuing to have the ability to increase principal and interest payments by almost $5 million annually, in addition to the long-term financing. The primary goal for the county is to ensure that the financial health and sustainability of the municipality in the long run, enabling it to achieve its objectives and adapt to the market changes. Key elements of this capital planning, risk management, and finding sources and long-term growth are also included in primary goals. Why is this important? To ensure the municipality supports scaling and expansion plans, growth, provide a buffer against economic downturn stability, and ensuring that the municipality has the financial resources to continue operations over the long term, sustainability. Key components of the long-term capital strategy is a balanced mix of reserves, taxing existing citizens, and debt, taxing future citizens. A successful long-term capital strategy requires careful planning, clear objectives, and proactive management on balancing that mix of reserves and debt to ensure the risk management is maintained at appropriate levels. Perth County invests in technology for public services, infrastructure, and operational efficiencies. It would be seen as the most important component of the day-to-day functions of the operations of the municipality. Effectiveness and municipal efficiency are largely impacted by the inability to use technology on a daily basis. Technology allows municipal staff effectively manage technology investments in ways that improve service delivery, enhance security, and support long-term sustainability. Fostering transparency and ensuring public accountability and meeting the evolving needs of the residents. A careful strategic approach is required to balance the technology needs of the county and the available resources while maximizing long-term benefit. 2025's total technological capital investment is estimated at $276,000. Most of the information technology investments are replacing assets that have reached their end of life, related to network and printer equipment and software licenses. Again, replacement of assets, servers, laptops, and workstations, again, reached end of life and are being replaced to replace those assets. Item to note is the website migration to a new content management platform. Public works assets include roads, bridges, culverts, and facilities and all of the fleet of the county. Public Works holds the majority of the capital projects and the value of assets. 2025 capital work represents approximately 10.5 of the total $11 million, broken down by the following. Bridges and culverts at $1.725 million, roads at $6.63 million, facilities at $828,000, and fleet and vehicle at $1.32 million. The 2025 capital budget includes funds for the replacement of 3 small diameter steel culverts and 2 larger spanning culverts structures. 2 of these projects are located on the boundary of Perth and Huron County. Each boundary project is shared equally with Huron County. The project budget represents Perth's share of the project costs. These boundary projects will be administered by Huron County. $780,000 is budgeted for the replacement of a concrete culvert on Road 130, just south of Sebringville. This project will be tied to the road rehabilitation work on Perth Road 130. Approximately 23 kilometers of road will be rehabilitated over the 3 projects included in the 2025 capital budget. The rehabilitation of Road 130 will see nearly 8 kilometers of road recycled and repaved. The project also includes road stormwater infrastructure replacement in Avonton. This project is budgeted at $2.45 million and will be funded through the OSIF funding that we received through the province. The final phase of rehabilitation for Perth Line 44 will be completed by recycling and repaving the remaining 10 kilometers section of Road 160 to Huron County boundary, which is to Perth Road 180. The project will include road, stormwater infrastructure improvements, and local improvements in Broadhagen. This project is estimated at 2.26 million and will be funded through the Canada Community Building Fund. Perth Road 140 rehabilitation is the boundary project with Wellington County. This project scope includes the construction of a roundabout of the intersection of Perth Road 140 and Perth Line 91. The recycling and repaving of the approximate 5 kilometers of road from the intersection northerly to Perth Line 93 to Tibiadale. The project is budgeted at $1.9 million and represents Perth's share of the total project cost, which is 50%. Facilities, it was mentioned that about $820,000 is to be done with their capital maintenance of our facilities. The biggest ones to note is the courthouse capital maintenance. This is the wood entry doors, vault, roof replacement, council chambers and POA court renovations, masonry repairs, and building automation system updates. And that is at a total of $370,000. Other items to note is that on the work plan is the updated facility condition assessment of all our facilities, set at $70,000. And also a feasibility study for renovations and replacement and relocation of the Listowel paramedic base. Capital fleet replacement for 2025 includes the replacement of a tow behind rubber tire roller asset at $30,000. The existing unit is well past its useful life and in very poor condition. The asset will be replaced with a similar unit. $475,000 is included in the budget to fund the pre-approved purchase of the triaxle plow asset for, again, end-of-life replacement, an asset that we anticipated to be delivered by Q3 of 2025. There is a $75,000 replacement of a fleet pickup truck, and then also approximately $750,000 in pre-approved ambulance purchases, which is a 2 ambulance carryover from 2024 and 1 scheduled purchase for 2025 replacement. Paramedic Services manages the medical equipment of the county to maintain and commit to the improvement of service delivery, assist in municipal efficiency and support it, as well, again, long-term sustainability. The total capital project work represents $264,000. Most of the capital investments are being performed to replace assets that have ended their useful life. This includes medical equipment, periodic restraints, training mannequins, and power load stretchers. Items to note in the paramedic services is related to the defibrillator program. This capital project is moving to a multi-year project being implemented in 2025. This program will see annual capital costs of approximately $200,000 per year to assist in smoothing the capital annual requirements. That is all I have related to capital. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thanks, Corey. Questions? Councillor McDermott?
Through the warden, Corey, besides the courthouse, what do we owe debt on?
So we owe debt on our other facilities that we have built in the past, say 10 years. So it is the facility that we currently sit in today. It is the Perth County Archives, as well as the Public Works garage that was replaced in 2017.
Any idea how many years it'll be before, like, those 3 places are paid off?
Right, so those ones had been set at 25-year repayment schedules. I know the garage, though, within the insurance, we had set it at a 15-year loan or long-term debt. So that one would be, I think, in the next 5 years paid off. The other ones are still 10 years out before payments amount.
And just one question on the fire. It talks about radios, but
But I mean, the radios that they have in the trucks and things like that, we're not talking about that, right? We're talking more about the towers.
Yeah, we're talking about the infrastructure related to the interoperability of fire radio.
Yep, so just the towers and whatever.
Like the equipment on the towers.
Yep, the equipment on.
We don't have the towers. We have the equipment on the towers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, okay. So we have a motion that council receives the 2025 capital budget presentations and that council authorized staff to tender 2025 capital projects with awarding of tenders to be brought back to council for approval. Moved by Deputy Warden Kellum, second by Councillor Trankowski. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks, Corey. Okay, do we have any council reports? Oh, okay. We have a bylaw, and it is that bylaw 4006-2024 be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 21st day of November 2024. Moved by Councillor McDermott, second by Councillor Orr. All in favor? Any notice of motions? Any other business? I just want to echo what Annette said this morning about Municipal Day yesterday. It was a great day. There was some great speakers. You know, it really hits home when someone stands up there and talks about what they've been through themselves, and we don't seem to all realize what can happen or what does happen. So it was a very good day. So thank you to the committee. I know some of you on here on County Council sit on that committee, so thanks for all you do. And we look forward to next year, where Dean is going to be the chair next year. Also, I know I kind of said this the last meeting, this is my last council meeting as the warden. And once again, I want to thank my colleagues around the table for all your support and being there. And I want to thank staff as well again for all that you've done and helped out in the last 2 years. I really appreciate it. I try to be very supportive of staff. And even though I'm not going to be the warden, I still will be supportive. So I can't thank you enough. And also my family. I didn't thank them the last time. You know, my husband, Sydney, he's very supportive. Every morning he goes, "Where are you going today?" He seems to understand when I'm not there. And I can't thank our kids, Adam, Katie, and Diane, and Nick enough. They stepped up and helped where I couldn't be at home because I do work full-time with my husband on our dairy farm. So it's been a great 2 years, and I'm going to have a little trouble, I'll warn you, Doug, sitting back and not being in the know, because I've been in the know for 5 years now, and just so you know that ahead of time. I'll try to step back, and I'll try to behave, but still, like, as my husband says, be in control. So anyway, if there's nothing else, we do have a need for a closed session. So we have a motion that Perth County Council move into closed session at approximately 9:53 a.m. in accordance with section 239 of the Municipal Act to consider a matter pertaining to litigation, solicitor advice, legal, and
yep, all good. And a matter pertaining to negotiation, verbal update, CAO.
Okay, need a motion. Councillor McDermott, second. Councillor McKenzie, all in favor? Carried. We're going to take a few minute break before we go into closed session. Have bylaw 4007-2024 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the Corporation of the County of Perth at its regular meeting held November 21, 2024 is read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed November 21st, 2024. Moved by Councillor Orr, second by Councillor Duncan. All in favor? Carried. And the last motion of the morning is that we adjourn at 11:38 a.m. Moved by Councillor Kassenberg, second by Councillor McKenzie. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.